Realtor.com says prices will fall in the Denver metro area by over 5%. Interest rates are still at 6% high, right? As it pertains to what we've seen over the last 3 years. Now, what does that mean, right? And here's the deal. Why would anyone sell in 2024 in Denver? I have put together the 5 reasons that I think people will actually sell in 2024. I do not believe that it will be any sort of a buyer's market or a sell-off, or we will lose value in our market specifically. But I do think that these are the reasons that people will sell. So we need to be looking out for those. And if it's you, you may want to consider selling because most of it makes sense as a seller. So stay tuned. What's up, guys? Jeremy Kane, living in the Denver suburbs. Super excited for this one. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any comments, I would be happy to have a discussion with you. There's also a link below to book a call. If you are one of these sellers looking to make a move or considering your options, I would be happy to be a part of that conversation and really dial down the true strategy to make you maximize your profit and enjoy your life, because that's what I'm all about. So let's get into the beef of this. So as we kind of talk about this, there's 5 reasons that I have pinpointed why people would sell in this market. The first and foremost is one that I hear a lot. People are cashing out high, right? There's never anyone who says, oh, the real estate market's going to completely explode. I'm going to just sit and hold. There's always the naysayers. They're like, oh, it's too high. The market's going to crash. All of these things. And so that's exactly what I'm focused on. And these people that are cashing out, especially the people at the end of their working careers and kind of retirement age, they do have a serious opportunity to cash out high based on the appreciation, especially over the last 5 years. If they've owned their home for 10 or more, you don't even want to know the numbers of equity they probably have stacked if they haven't, leveraged that further. And so they're cashing out and moving to, smaller markets, essentially taking their money, buying a similar or a more well-appointed home for them in their lifestyle, and putting the rest of that cash in the bank or other investments and letting that money grow, kind of riding off in the sunset, right? So that's the first and foremost reason. We did see a lot of this as the market kind of was on its uphill climb, kind of on that roller coaster, slow tick, tick, tick all the way up. And so I think we will see a little bit more of this. Maybe the people have aged a little further and they're ready for that retirement, or maybe they didn't take advantage of it then. And then over the last 2 years, they're like, well, I can't get quote unquote top dollar. And now I think this year that may be a reason that some inventory does come to the market. The next reason is the interest rate, right? And so interest rate opportunities is a bit of an aggressive term, seeing that just 2.5 years ago, we were in the 3s and 4s, and now we're, happy to see a 6 in front of our interest rate, if we are lucky enough to receive that. And so I just think that gap is getting a little bit smaller, right? Obviously, those people that didn't refinance and maybe bought, 10, 15 years ago, maybe they're at 5%, they're looking at that interest rate on their next home and saying, oh, it's only 6 compared to 5.25 or whatever. Or the people that have bought later in the low interest rate cycle, that gap is getting smaller and smaller, right? And I think there was a survey that actually we talked about last time on this on my market predictions, that if the interest rate did dip below 5, 60% of the people that have that ultra low interest rate would consider moving if it made sense, meaning the interest rate is no longer, holding them hostage on their current home if it's just not working out. And so I think that as the interest rate maybe comes down a little bit more, or even where it's at, that gap has shrunk. And I think the more and more the interest rate comes down, that gap will shrink and afford people the opportunity to move up or downsize or whatever and have it make sense in the financial realm. So this could be a reason, as the interest rates do fall and as they're projected to fall a little bit more, that people are ready to, sell their home and make a move. And then obviously you always have the lifestyle driven changes, right? The upsize, the downsize, growing family. If you have 4 kids in a 3-bedroom house, you're obviously going to be pushed out. That interest rate, the getting exact top dollar, planning it so perfectly, which we all hope and dream to do, doesn't really matter as much anymore when life kind of puts that piece in it. So that's obviously the upsizing crowd. Then you have the downsizing crowd. You need main floor living and all of that. Or maybe you're just ready to make a move. You don't need 4,000 square feet anymore because it's just you and your spouse. And so those are obviously reasons for people to move. Now, when the interest rate was extremely high and maybe these people didn't have the equity to go buy a house cash or whatever, well, that was a little bit of a deterrent, right? You pay someone to do your laundry, walk down those stairs for you, as opposed to paying those higher interest rates and having your cost of living increase that way. So that's definitely part of it. But the lifestyle, obviously the moves, obviously death, divorce, all those things that come in, those are still drivers for bringing inventory to the table. I just think now, as opposed to just the death, divorce, new kids, downsizing, all of those things, I think we're now expanding that to people that might have a little more choice in their lifestyle. So also a lot of people are being called back to work, right? A lot of people took advantage of the work from home kind of deal, and a lot of people are bringing that back in house because now we have these huge commercial facilities that someone's paying for, and they're locked in a lease, or they own the properties, and they feel like they should be used. They feel like the production's a little higher. So lifestyle driven changes will continue to be a reason that people list homes in the year. The next one is kind of an interesting one in my opinion. FOMO from previous market boom. Right? So there was a lot of people that I talked to that were like, oh, we should have just sold when we did. We should have just cashed out and done the thing, right? And so now that I think that we'll see, especially in the spring market with the rates that are lower than we've been used to the last 6 to 8 months, I think that we'll see a pretty sharp increase in demand, which will make those prices go up, get us up to at least where we were, considering at the top of the market, if not a little bit higher, depending on how that plays out and how the interest rate market is. But I think there's a piece of people that were fear of missing out, right? They fear that the market is going to, stabilize, right? And we probably appreciated across the board in Denver, 2 or 3%, depending on your exact neighborhood, but we still feel like we're losing because we're not gaining 10 to 15% like we had a couple years during the pandemic. So I think the people that see that spike might be encouraged to put their house on the market, kind of cash out high, maybe limit their lifestyle. I know a lot of people have considered, selling their house and renting, right? That's the way. If you really think that you can play the market, sell your house and rent. That makes sense. Throw $40,000 to $50,000 away for a year as you time the market right. But we won't go there. You obviously know my opinion on that at this point. So that's a thing, is people really fear, like they want to sell at the top dollar and they can, make some lifestyle adjustments and just, settle for the next home or whatever. So I think that will be a driver to some, especially if we see that early demand February, March, and get those prices really, really moving in the upward direction, back to a full-on seller's market where there's appraisal gaps and things. Appraisal gaps, be careful with that. I think I mentioned that in my 2024 preview. Appraisal gaps, now that we've seen a little bit slower market and now that we're going to see a quick increase in the market, there's not going to be comps to support those above asking prices. So that's something to really keep your eye on. Make sure that your agent, hopefully it's me, but if it's not, hopefully your agent's paying attention to that. And the next thing would be absolutely settling during the pandemic. People that felt like they just made a quick move, they overpaid, they feel like, or the house just wasn't perfect. I think there's a lot of people that feel like they settled during the pandemic. I've heard stats, I don't know how true they are, so I'm not going to quote them. But I think that they will see this market as an opportunity to list. And so as you can see, there's very specific people that I think may be out there listing their home. If this is you, I would love to talk to you about the situation. Make sure that it is the best based on, what we see, based on your lifestyle, because ultimately that's all that matters, right? If we're trying to guess on this market, it never really turns out, right? You never can sell at the highest and then find a place to live until it's at the lowest and buy everything and then ride it all the way back up and do that. Like, there's no way to time the market, as I always say. But there are these specific niches that should or will consider selling in the Denver and the suburbs market. So I hope that helps. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any comments or, maybe predictions or anything that I said, let me know. The bottom line is we are in an extreme inventory crisis, in my opinion, and this is why Denver home prices will not fall 5%. Because we have, upwards of 2 million buyers, as according to some news sources, that are waiting on the sidelines to get in. So I hope that you have a great new year, and we will continue the Why Invest Wednesday train going. So hope you guys have a good one, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.